Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're looking into the sources you shared on Planet Labs. We're tackling that key question. Is now a good time to buy Planet Labs? They're a major player, really the leader in Earth observation. And these sources give us a picture of their recent performance, what's coming up, and the technicals as of, well, right about now, October 2025.
Right, and our goal here is to pull together these different threads. We need to look at the fundamentals, the company's financial footing, its competitive strengths, and weigh that against the shorter-term stuff. Things like catalysts, technical signals.
Yeah.
These often move growth stocks quite a bit. It's about putting it all together to figure out, well, what does it actually mean for you?
Okay, perfect. And before we jump in, please hit subscribe, like the show, and leave a comment. It really helps us out. Plus, if there's a specific company you'd like us to analyze next time, let us know in the comments below. All right, let's unpack the last 3 months for Planet Labs. It seems like a bit of a mixed bag, doesn't it? Some big wins, but also some changing analyst views. What really stands out first?
Well, what's quite interesting is the contrast you see. Even with the market being pretty choppy, Planet Labs nailed down a really significant government contract in October. It was a $12.8 million deal with the NGA, that's the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
Yes, the Lunobi IDIQ contract.
That's the one. For AI-driven maritime analytics, it's a clear signal, that there's real demand for their advanced data products, especially blending AI with their satellite imagery.
Okay, a big government win. That sounds like straightforward good news.
Yeah.
But then things got a bit more complicated on the analyst side, right? Around October 21st.
Yeah, exactly. We saw this split happen. Citizens Jump actually downgraded the stock. They went from outperform down to market perform.
Mm-hmm.
Their thinking seemed to be about valuation, maybe questioning if the price had gotten ahead of itself in the near term.
Okay, but not everyone agreed.
No, not at all. On the very same day, Deutsche Bank came out and reiterated their buy rating. So it shows there's this active debate going on right now among analysts. How do you weigh the current valuation against that future growth potential?
And feeding into that debate, I suppose, were the Q2 earnings back in September. What did those numbers tell us about the company's path?
Well, they definitely reinforced the growth story. Revenue was up 20.1% compared to last year, came in at $73.39 million, which beat what analysts were expecting. So demand is clearly there.
There's always a but with growth stocks.
Right. The earnings per share, the EPS, actually missed estimates. It was a loss of 7 cents per share. But importantly, this wasn't really about weak sales. It's because they are pouring money back into the business, investing heavily to expand. It fits that high-growth playbook. Capture market share now, worry about profits a bit later.
And it seems like the big money investors are buying into that playbook, looking at institutional ownership.
They really are. Institutional ownership climbed by more than 10% back in August. You had 40 new funds either starting positions or adding to existing ones.
Wow, 40 new funds.
Yeah. It signals pretty strong belief from institutions in the long-term potential, even if there are losses on the books right now.
Okay, so institutions are looking long-term. Let's dig into why. Let's shift to the core health of the business. For someone trying to understand Planet Labs fundamentally, what are the key things to grasp?
Sure. If you look at the big picture fundamentals, it's pretty typical for this kind of growth tech company. Their revenue over the last 12 months, the TTM revenue, is quite strong. It's $262.47 million, shows consistent demand. But, and this is the crucial part, their TTM net loss is also significant. We're talking about $90.46 million. So, point blank, they aren't profitable yet.
Right, that's a hefty loss. So why do analysts and those institutions we just mentioned seem willing to look past those negative margins for now? What's the core attraction?
It really boils down to their competitive advantage, what some people call their data moat. Planet Labs runs the biggest commercial fleet of Earth imaging satellites in the world, period. That gives them frequency and granularity of data that's just unmatched.
So it's hard for anyone else to catch up.
Extremely hard. That existing infrastructure is a huge barrier to entry. You can't just decide to replicate that scale quickly or cheaply.
You also mentioned a specific product that's helping them differentiate even further.
Absolutely. That's the new Tanager hyperspectral imaging satellite. It launched in 2025, and it's a big deal. It provides full spectrum imagery, much more detailed than standard satellite photos. This opens up new, potentially high-value markets, like precision agriculture, detailed climate monitoring, resource management. That's key for future subscription revenue.
Okay, so they're building out this impressive tech, but are they managing their cash responsibly while doing it? given that $90 million loss?
Well, looking at the balance sheet, it doesn't seem reckless. They actually have strong liquidity. Cash and equivalents are well over $300 million. And importantly, they have very little long-term debt. So yes, they're burning cash in operations because of the investment, but they have a buffer.
And management has a target for stopping that burn.
They do. They've stated they expect to hit break even on operating cash flow by their fiscal year 2026. That's assuming current growth rates hold, of course.
Which brings up the big question, doesn't it? Can they actually execute well enough to hit that 2026 target?
Exactly. That's the key execution risk everyone's watching.
Okay, we've covered the long-term story, the moat, the growth plans. But let's zoom in on the trading picture right now. If someone's considering buying today, what are the charts saying as of October 22nd?
Technically, the picture looks pretty constructive, actually. It seems to support the longer-term uptrend. The stock's trading around $12.91. That's sort of in the middle of its range over the last 3 months.
And the moving averages, those usually give a good sense of trend.
Right. And it's trading well above both key averages. The 50-day simple moving average is down around $10.35, and the 200-day is way down at $6.17. So being above both confirms that the medium and longer-term trends are still pointing up despite any day-to-day noise.
Got it. What are the specific price levels traders might be watching for support or resistance?
Well, that 50-day average, around $10.35, looks like a key support level to watch. If it pulls back, that's where buyers might step in. On the upside, there seems to be resistance near $14.72. That's a level it might struggle to break through initially.
And you mentioned volatility earlier.
Yeah, the sources note it's pretty high, around 17.05%. What that means is any piece of news, good or bad, could cause a pretty sharp, fast move in the price. It's not a stock for the faint of heart.
So given that volatility and the split we saw from analysts earlier, what's the overall feeling from the wider analyst community now? Where do the price targets generally sit?
The consensus is still generally positive. Most analysts rate it a buy or a moderate buy, but there's a big spread in those price targets. The average target seems to be somewhere between, say, $10.63 and $11.26. Kind of cautious, maybe reflecting those valuation concerns.
But some are much more bullish.
Oh, yeah. The highest target mentioned in the sources is actually $20. That suggests some analysts really expect significant upside, probably driven by potential new contracts or maybe faster than expected adoption of tanager data. They're betting on positive surprises.
All right, let's talk about those potential positive surprises. Looking ahead over the next, say, 3 months, what are the key events or dates that could really move the needle for Planet Labs?
The earnings reports are always center stage for growth stocks. The next big one is the fiscal Q3 2026 release. We expect that somewhere between mid-November and early December. That's when management has to provide updates on margins and show progress on integrating those new government and AI contracts. That'll be critical.
Beyond their own earnings report, what about external factors? Any institutional dates to watch?
Definitely. Keep an eye out for the December 2nd institutional holdings report. That will give us a clearer picture of whether those big funds kept buying aggressively through the last quarter.
Okay.
Also, potentially significant, is the S&P and ARK ETF rebalancing around December 15th.
Ah, the index rebalancing. Why is that particularly important here?
Well, Planet Labs fits the profile for certain tech-focused or disruptive innovation ETFs. If they get added or have their weighting increased in major indexes or influential ETFs like ARKs, it can force a lot of buying. Or selling, if they get removed or downweighted, it can cause significant short-term volatility around that date.
Interesting. Now, what about the more speculative stuff? Any market rumors floating around that could cause a sudden jump?
There are always rumors with these kinds of stocks. 3 main ones seem to be circulating according to the sources. First, there's ongoing chatter about a potential major AI partnership, maybe with a big tech company, to help analyze their vast amount of data faster.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Second, the classic rumor, acquisition. Speculation that a large defense contractor might want to buy Planet Labs outright to get exclusive access to that commercial data stream. That would likely mean a big premium.
Always a possibility for unique tech assets. And the third?
Third is talk about landing another large-scale government contract, but this time maybe in Europe. Diversifying their government revenue base. Now, these are just rumors, but if any of them turn out to be true, you could easily see the stock make a quick run towards that $15 or $16 resistance area we talked about.
Lots of potential upside catalysts then. But we have to balance that. What's the biggest risk factor specific to Planet Labs right now, setting aside general market swings?
It really comes back to that profitability timeline. Management has put that FY 2026 operating cash flow break-even target out there. But hitting it is not guaranteed. That's the main execution risk. If they stumble in scaling up Tanager's revenue, or if penetrating new enterprise markets takes longer than expected, they could miss that target. And that would likely hit the stock hard.
And you mentioned market sensitivity too.
Yes, definitely need to remember the beta is high, around 2.0. That means if the overall market, especially the tech sector, takes a downturn, Planet Labs is likely to fall roughly twice as hard. It amplifies market moves, both up and down. #outro. So, okay, we've covered a lot. The wins, the warnings, the tech, the targets. What's the takeaway for you, the listener, trying to decide if this is the right time to potentially invest?
Well, it feels like we have a clear picture. A company showing strong revenue growth, possessing this really unique, hard-to-copy data advantage that moat and the charts look pretty supportive right now, maybe poised for a move higher if good news hits, but you absolutely have to weigh that against the fact that they're still losing money. There's real risk they might not hit their financial targets on time, and the stock itself is just inherently volatile, high risk, potentially high reward.
Exactly. And the overall sense from the sources we looked at leans towards being moderately to strongly positive on the long-term story. They see Planet Labs as a leader in a critical, growing field, so it seems appealing both for shorter-term traders playing those potential catalysts like earnings, and for long-term investors who believe in the technology and market position.
All right, so here's the final thought we want to leave you with to consider. The sources strongly emphasize these huge global trends: ESG reporting, climate change analysis, supply chain tracking, all driving massive demand for exactly the kind of comprehensive Earth data Planet Labs provides. The critical question for your own analysis becomes, given their dominant position today, how much of that almost inevitable future growth is already baked into the current $12.91 share price? That's the puzzle you need to solve.